So today we have a different kind of video. We're going to go over a clip from the podcast Absolutely Marvel in DC with their guest, a little rinky dinky YouTuber called Comic Story, and no big deal. You probably heard his voice around, maybe not. But yeah, he's obviously a shill. He's mentioned many times that, he has dealings with, DC and Marvel, but then again, he does, go over their material. So yeah, and keep in mind, if you have no backbone and you can't handle criticism, if you can't handle, critiquing of a critique, then you can go ahead and leave now because I'm going to dive really deep into it and we're going to go right into it right now.
Deal length is and stuff because he's always open. I don't know if you guys saw me get it on war on Twitter, but somebody said, and I think it's hilarious. There's like, we're talking about representation. Someone was complaining about it. So
I agree with you. I actually liked a lot of what they did in the show in terms of like the pronouns. I liked the representation. I liked seeing a lot of things that we don't normally get to see in superhero movies.
Let me just say this. Representation is getting thrown around left and right when no one knows what it means. There's nothing wrong with organic representation of a marginalized group or whatever you want to do. Hell, even if you want to go LGBTQ, despite my preferences against it, if you had to go there, as long as it's not in my face, as long as it's not literally front and center in a storyline about freaking superheroes going through life, especially with a character who nobody cares about. Let's be honest here. Nobody cares about Halo. Let's get that out of the way right now. Let's stop pretending as if Halo's one of these landmark characters that everyone has grown fond of. Come on, that's disingenuous. Come on, stop lying here. No one cares about Halo, and the pronouns are stupid, and I'm going to get into that later.
Or shows, movies in general. I just wish it went places. That's my biggest complaint with it. I don't feel like we got sufficient conclusions to going down these journeys. Because what it ends up feeling like to me is that a lot of it was just surface level.
So his critique about all the virtue signaling and pandering, because that's what it really is the fact that it didn't go places. And like I said, I've expressed this many times throughout my review of the recent seasons of Young Justice. You can like what you want to like. You can like this show, even if it's bad from a literal writing standpoint and a pacing standpoint, but you can enjoy what you like about this show. That's fine. I'm watching it as a fan, and his critique is, again, he thinks it didn't go places. And I agree it didn't go places, but I feel like it shouldn't even be there in the first place. There's a reason why people say don't get political, and it's not because, racism, as he'll get into later.
Your argument about Catholic representation, it was there as surface level. It was
which it's there for texture, not to be sit and like really dug.
So they were talking about the scene with Giovanni when he was with, Dr. Fate, Naboo, and he was pretty much just announcing his faith to Naboo and by extension the audience. And while, yeah, that was how I like representation, because they're not diving too deep into it. They're not, throwing in 1,000 different things at once, and they're not picking a side on which is which. That's the one thing I enjoyed about the Zatanna arc when it came to everyone's religion. The studio, even the higher ups who put this virtue signaling crap in here, they were wise not to pick sides on which side they lean with. They could have gone full-blown atheists if they wanted to, with all of this, and put no Christianity in here, especially with modern media and how godless we're becoming. So yeah, I'll give him that.
But I did see on Twitter, every single time they would use the pronouns they, them, or we would go on a journey with Forager in their discoveries. And anytime that was going on with the other characters that was anything considered woke, which is why I hate the terminology woke, because woke has turned into, I hate anything that involves representation or sexuality or like.
You see, now I call bullshit, because I can promise you there wasn't an overwhelming majority of fans who cared about Halo, or let alone the Foragers plotline or story arc. I'm pretty sure there wasn't an overwhelming majority, a vocal majority of fans who said, you know what, the Foragers need more screen time. I promise you, none of them cared. Nobody cared about these characters. Let's keep it a band here. There's probably 2% of Young Justice fans who cared about these characters. And of course he doesn't like the term woke, because he doesn't like how people are constantly bringing up the fact that, it's stupid. And the whole thing with representation, that's not the problem. I don't like freaking Reva because she's played by a black woman. That's not my issue. My issue is they used her as a shield of criticism, making it seem like an overwhelming majority of Star Wars fans were racist. And another thing with this, when people have a problem with representation, we have a problem with the fact that they keep picking sides. Again, when we say don't get political, that's what we mean. Don't pick either side. Don't pander to either. Just entertain the fans of the material, not political freaking messaging. That's the whole point. That's why we don't like representation. But you knew that.
Woke used to actually have a meaning like a lot of things do, and it very quickly has just turned into blanket term. I think it's woke. What do you mean? It's got black people. Okay, you realize that's racist. No, it's woke. No. Woke. That's racist.
Hey, Benny, I'm black, and I don't like the fact that they race swapped the Phantom Stranger. Am I okay? Is it okay to say that? Can I say that? I don't like the fact that the Rocket plotline is basically a reinforcement of the black stereotype on how they can never get along with each other and how their marriages never work out. That's something that I don't like about the Rocket plotline. Not that she's black or that she's in the show, but what they choose to use these characters as messages for. That is my problem. That is also my problem with the Halo situation. And another thing, but we'll get into the other thing after the soy boy makes his point. I can't wait.
I don't want to see some. This is another quote. I don't want to see some hijab-wearing Muslim terrorist on screen.
Yeah.
Why would
Of course, this cornball used that crazy example as if everyone who's critiquing Halo is critiquing the fact that, she's Muslim or, anything like that. That's not my issue with her. And I don't like the Halo plotline. I don't like her because she's uninteresting and she is used to pander and to virtue signal to a crowd that literally makes up less than 10 to 20% of the American population. So what are we talking about here?
I want that in my superhero show. That's so woke. Obviously, none of them are good people.
And then no, that's racist. That's not woke. And that's why I hate the term woke, because it has become a blanket term to hide racism or homophobia or,
Again, bullshit and disingenuous and the stupidest strongman argument ever. So again, the problem with this woke shit is the fact that, again, it's pandering to a population who doesn't really care about this source material, the fans, or the comic books. They're just looking for another medium to adopt and to destroy and to push their messages and their ideology. Again, the problem with politics in these type of media is the fact that they're in there in the first place. Like, we use these mediums as an escape from the real world and our problems. But I'm gonna get into what else I got to say about that after the soy boy says something stupid again.
Maybe argue plot points and storylines, and maybe you can disagree with the direction they took, but that doesn't mean you're like, don't go racist with it. Like,
again, the plot lines for Forager, garbage. No one cares about Forager as a character. Boom, there you go. I disagree with the direction of Halo. Boom, right there. Not because of what she is or even what she quote unquote identifies as. But again, garbage characters, garbage plot line. Done. Oh yeah, in a shitty budget, but these people who are in charge of the show, they care about the freaking fans of the show, right?
The way I closed out that discussion on Twitter was that I am sorry that this show tries to represent the world we actually live in rather than the one that you live in your mind / the one you want us to be in.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Because you've been bootlicking the Halo they them pronoun gang for the longest every single review that you've done on this episode that you've been a part of. So shut up. So don't talk to me about what reality is when you entertain the idea of make-believe. You want to know the idea of pronouns? You want to know who invented that? John Money, a guy who literally forcefully experimented on little boys. Yeah, so when you talk about pronouns, mention John Money, okay? Since you want to go there.
Because our world has different colors, textures, genders, everything. Because it's the world we live in. It's the real world. And that this show represents that rather than what you want it to be.
No, feminists, this show represents what's wrong with modern entertainment and revival series. They bring back these properties and put whatever ideology that they want to put in here. That's what's the problem. That's what this show is trying to portray. They are trying to portray that they are radical leftist, feminist bullcrappers and activists. They're not trying to entertain the fans. They are trying to preach to the fans on what they believe is right and what they believe is wrong. That is what they're doing. Shut up. So yeah, man, these weird people who don't really care about this show, they're just on the bandwagon. Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's just how I feel about this whole entire little debunking of critiques or criticisms or whatever they wanted to call this little section of their little, all around thoughts of the show. I've given my thoughts and I've given an honest take on it, but that's just me. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm gonna leave a link to my video that's honest about the problems with the show. in the description below. And yeah, peace.